Hey, so tonight's video, I'm going to talk to you about, we're going to have a great discussion on what men wish you knew about communicating with them. This is for women who love men, or women who are trying to get in good communication with men. And it's going to be really interesting because this is feedback I got from a bunch of guys. Like I put a few posts out in the different places, and I got some comments and some inboxes, had some conversation. It's been really interesting. So I pulled out some of the key points. Hi! I pulled out some of the key points, and I just think it's super duper interesting. And some of the stuff we already really know, and some of it's just really interesting to have a conversation around, I think. And yeah, so if you don't know who I am, I'm Jade Diamond. I help powerful women over 35 find their soulmate, and I also help amazing women who are in relationships to really reconnect and juice up their partnership so that they're not living like roommates. I have an online course coming up towards the end of the year, which is quite exciting, and I also offer one-to-one 90-day mentorships. So really good. I hope people are saying, "Oh, I like your accent. Thank you very much." Is that a vine? It's like a thing that goes up on the wall at the back. I'm visiting a city unrelated, but this woman I've been chatting to for 8 months wants to meet up. Great, go and take her out for coffee, have a good time, why not? So I'd love to hear who's on the line, where you're from, where you're up to in your dating life. So what do men wish that women knew about communicating with them? So interesting. Some of the answers were like short and sweet, and some were like super long. So I've got all these different notes. I wanted to make sure I did, what they had asked me to write. One of the big things that came through, which is really interesting, and we're going to go into this a lot more in the masterclass on Saturday, is about leading with criticism and, well, actually not leading with criticism, and how you can communicate with your partner without leading with criticism, which sounds really simple, but when you're annoyed about something, or you're frustrated, or you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, or you feel like you're stuck in a bit of a rut, it can be really challenging to kind of approach a conversation with your partner without leading with the criticism first. But actually, over and over again, a lot of guys that I spoke to said, we just really want to make you happy. Like, it seems to be that for a lot of guys, they just really want a happy woman. Which is good, right? Of course, you can't be happy all the time because that's not realistic, because nobody is. But a happy woman is what makes a man very happy. So some of the feedback that I got from the guys was like, could you, like, instead of just saying, oh, you're not doing this, or you're not doing that, or this needs to change, kind of say instead, could you put it forward as a request? Like, I would, I really want to go out on more dates, and it would make him, and tell him how would make you feel. Like, it would make me feel really happy. I'd really like if we could do some of these things together. Could you take responsibility for doing some of that and coming up with some ideas, rather than saying, I'm really bored at home, and you never take me out, and we'd never do anything together. So in the 3-day challenge that we talked about, that we did recently, I was talking about these overarching words that we can tend to use, which is like, you never, you always, and that kind of stuff. So really try and stay away from that. Hello to everybody who's coming on the line. I can see everybody jumping on. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Is it something that you find easy? Have you ever played with that, about making requests, like coming from the point of desire? What is it that you really want to happen, rather than focusing on the problem at hand? And it really does take this kind of nuance and shift in mindset, and learning how to create really great conversation and communication so that you can be heard and you can get your desires met. That's the most important thing, right? Another guy said, what we really need you to know is to have our back, but don't be afraid to say when we're fucked up. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? So to our guys on the line, I'd love to hear, because like, you want a request, you don't want a complaint, but sometimes you fuck up. You know, how to approach that. And I think, again, it's like, for me, with the way I teach, again, it's leading from desire, like, you know, what I really want from this relationship and what I really want for us is this, yet this is what I'm experiencing and it's not making me happy. I'm feeling like, and you say how you feel, what I don't want is, and then you say what you want. Because a lot of guys, some of what they've fed back here is like, be really clear in your communication, because some women aren't very clear. And often that's because a woman is sorting things out in her head as she's speaking, whereas the feedback from guys is that they often tend to analyze in their head first. So that thing where they kind of go quiet, they seem a bit distant, they kind of analyze a lot in their head, because men traditionally are raised to be very independent. They're raised to be self-sufficient, and therefore we tend to become much more individualistic. And you know, some of this you can talk about nature nurture, but there's a lot of social conditioning around that. So Desert Spider says, requests are always a better angle. It does seem to help. It seems like this deals with accountability. There is a bit of truth to this. There's a lot of truth to this. You know, we all have to be accountable for how we feel, right? We all have to be accountable for what we do, and how do we communicate in the sticky bits, because it's super easy to communicate when something's going great, right? Or it's easier. But when things aren't so great, it can be a little bit sticky and a little bit trickier to navigate through that space. And I think actually a lot of guys really value adjustment because they want to make you happy. If it's not done with blame, and it's not done with shame, and it's not done by making them out to be the worst in the world. You know, a lot of guys they want to make you happy, so they're happy to receive like an adjustment. But it's about the way that you communicate that can kind of make it or break it, for sure. One of the things that I received back as well, let's have a look at this. Desert Spider, no, I've never heard about that. Please feel free to put it in the comments if it's not something horrible or rude. I'm open to listening. Okay, so appreciate our comments, our compliments, but make sure you appreciate our compliments the most. I find this really interesting. And when I've done like kind of, not masterminds, but groups with men and with women, a big gripe that comes up for guys is when, and it's like a pride thing, whether we like it or not, is when we take another guy's advice much more seriously than your partner's, or another guy's compliment with much more weight than your partner's. And I'm absolutely sure women feel like this as well. But that's something to really think about, that men wish women knew about communication. So I guess coming home and saying how great, you know, this guy at work is, and everything wonderful that he's doing, and how perfect he is, and how perfect you're not. Of course, you know, that can absolutely flip sides as well. Nobody really likes to be on the receiving end of that, but it's what the guys have fed back. What else did they say? I was asking, what do women need to know about communication with men? What do you wish women knew? Let's have a look. Yeah, thinks as an individual first, and raised to be self-sufficient. So this is when you do the communication class with me on Saturday, if you come in, hope that you are. I'm going to put a link in the comments right now. We talk about like not giving advice, not asking the innocent question like, oh, I saw that's what you wanted, when you know damn well it wasn't. Or you kind of telling your chap what he should do and how he should do it, and and that kind of thing. They take it as criticism often, and again, like they're analysing in their head about what they think they should do, and often it's often safer to wait to be asked. It's often safer to wait to be asked, to give some input rather than just giving unsolicited advice, or to say, I've got some ideas on this. Would you like to hear it? That's a really good one, because sometimes I'll just say no, which can be a bit wounded, because you might know 10 times more about, feeding the particular dog breed that we're talking about, or whatever it is, right? You might know 10 times more. Sometimes they just don't want to hear it, and it does seem a bit arrogant, but there you go. Social conditioning, what can we do? And sometimes you go, all right, fine, do it the long way around, and it can be painful to watch. But sometimes that's just the way that it is. So what this chap was saying is like, just to be mindful of that there's a lot of that social conditioning where they hear it as criticism, unfortunately, and this is where arguments begin. And often with partnerships, I hear when women are coming to me that there's been distance or there's arguments, and it's because a woman is going, you need to do this, you need to do that, do it like this, and he doesn't really feel like he's got freedom to do it his own way. Let's have a look. It may be important for ladies to know what men are learning online on YouTube about female nature. It's really important, actually, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because there's a whole subculture. Oh my God, there's a whole subculture of the best ways to manipulate women and prey on their insecurities and weaknesses so that they become attached to you. And it's quite frightening. It's definitely not about elevated relationships. It's definitely not about high-level love connections. That is a legacy love, and that's going to do amazing things in the world. It's much more about getting laid. Getting laid by, as many women as possible. And in their eyes, whatever is a 10 in their eyes, then it's really about how many women can you shag. And they have all kinds of connections and groups where they talk about it, where they exploit women's vulnerabilities and weaknesses. And I've had guys try that kind of stuff on me, but I was like, you're being a dick. Why are you being rude? I'm not interested, because I haven't got low self-esteem and I don't need a man's approval. But most women are socially conditioned to need a man's approval. Anyway, that's a side note. We don't really want to get involved in any of that, but yes, it's good to know about. And that's why it's really important that you work on yourself and your own self-esteem is high, that you feel good about yourself, that you feel good about how you can communicate, and that you also know how to give clear boundaries. So actually, one of the feedback that one of the guys gave was, know your boundaries and express them clearly. Because often what can happen in sexual situations or in emotional situations, a woman's not quite sure what she wants and kind of how she really feels and what her boundaries are. She's feeling it out as she goes. Yet it can be a little bit tricky, for a guy to really be in alignment with where you are and what you want, emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, if you don't know yourself. So it's important sometimes to kind of get clear on that and then be able to speak that boundary, like, this is feeling really good for me, I want to go for it, or I'm not feeling comfortable with this, but I do feel comfortable with that. So definitely come to the masterclass on Saturday. It's called Creating Heart Connection, but it's actually a relationship communication masterclass. So we've got women who are coming who want to get back in touch with their ex-partner. We've got married women who are coming who, just want to really elevate their connection. Maybe they've been married for a few years and they want to make things so much more juicier, and they want to get good, intimate communication going again. Sometimes, a woman can be with a guy who's been a bit distant. She needs to know how to handle that. So if any of that sounds like you, then please do join us tomorrow. We're going to be live at 6:00 UK time. But if you can't make it, there's a replay and a record, so don't worry about that. What else have we got? Ooh, this was a really nice one. We crave the softness. Women should know that we crave the softness on the other side of their strength. And what I find, and this, I've definitely been, had to do work on this when I was dating. Once you've been through so many difficult and bizarre situations with guys, like we were saying before, who are kind of in pick-up culture, or are trying to be manipulative or honest and say one thing and then do another, or You know, I went to go I was dating this guy once for a while, and he said, "Oh, well, before we go to such a place, we'll go to the flat and we'll have a couple of drinks there before we go out." And I've been dating for a while, so I wouldn't just normally just go to someone's house, and it wasn't like super late. And so we went to the apartment. We were just going to have like a little drink before we head out or something. And then I realised, like, I said, "Oh, can you get me something, such a thing?" And he went in the cupboards and he was looking for where the cup was. I thought, this ain't your house. You don't even know where the glasses are. You don't, whose house is this? And looks in the fridge. And there was like, some one carton of milk. And I thought, how did this get through? How did this one get past my radar? Because my radar's pretty good when it comes to picking out idiots, right? And leaving them alone. And I was like, you don't know where the cups are. This isn't your house, is it? And he was like, well, actually it's my dad's place. And, I'm just staying here for a bit. And da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, you've got a wife or you've got a girlfriend or something somewhere. And this is some place that you use and you think I'm going to be coming back here. Nope. So I made my excuses and off I went. I was like, okay, farewell. I didn't even get into a big thing with it. I was like, farewell, goodbye. Because I've got good self-esteem, I know how to communicate, and I know how to say no thanks, and off you go. So if you're single and dating, you need to come to the masterclass as well, because sometimes you just got to keep it moving, because when you do meet that good guy, what you don't want is to be really bitter and so closed down that you lose your softness and you lose your openness, because that's what happens when so many women that I meet now who are like 35, nearly 40, they want a family, they're amazing, powerful, beautiful, loving, incredible women, going to festivals, going to, on amazing holidays, got great friends, and they're just so jaded because of the experiences that they've had that, a guy can't get through. And it's not that they're not great women, the guy who's approaching them might have been 5 years before that type of player, and now he wants a woman to settle down with, or wants a woman who's got a high value. He wants a kind of a queen now. It's going to be a bit difficult unless you sort of show up as a king, but even so, we can become so defensive from being hurt that you lose that softness, you lose the ability to open your heart, you lose the ability to actually communicate from that raw place of vulnerability and realness, which is what actually creates a man opening his heart, and not just being on that surface level of always trying to play it safe. And it's a risk, every time, falling in love and trying to create love and being open to love is a risk. Like, how much easier is it to say, no, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, I don't care about you, don't care about you, because it makes you feel like you have more power and you feel like you're more in control, but you're more cold inside, right? Can anybody relate? I'm pretty sure you all can. I'm just checking this because the other day when I was trying to read some of your comments, some of them went a bit missing. So, no, I think everything's cool there. All right, is there anything else? Any questions that you've got? What else do we have here? I think that's mainly it for now. Not being afraid to show your sensitivity. Oh, and also this point about being independent, how men are conditioned to be more independent, that they think, so I was having this conversation with someone, they think more as individuals. I was like, no shit, Sherlock. Really? And so it comes across as quite selfish sometimes. And again, that's where the ability to give feedback and adjustments in a really good way helps, because a guy's not doing it because he doesn't care about you. He's not, always trying to be selfish and, doesn't think about you, doesn't care about you, doesn't want this relationship. Sometimes we can make all kinds of stories up in our head when someone's just had a bad day and they've not communicated it. But often with that bit of adjustment, like, well, I'd really like for this to happen, I'd really like for that to happen, and I'm feeling a bit tired of doing it all myself. What would it take? This is a really good question. What would it take to have this happen? Like, what do you need in order to have this happen? Often, this is good even just with friends. This is good with kids, like with everybody. Often nobody asks us, like, what do you need to make this happen? Like, if my mom or my, friend or someone says, I want to see more of you, I'm missing you, you're working a lot, you've not been well, and da 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 da. What would it take to reconnect and to create more connection? It creates a different, space in the mind, rather than saying, well, you don't call me anymore, I don't hear from you, you don't care about me. And then it kind of like becomes a bit of a, what are you talking about? No, that's not true. It creates more solution focus if you can say, what would it take? What would it take to have this? What would it take to do that? So, yeah, there's lots of good feedback from the guys there about what they wish women knew about communicating with them. Of course, I've got the masterclass tomorrow at 6 p.m. GMT, which I think is about 1 o'clock EST if you're in on the west, no, if you're on the east coast, USA. You can get started for £39, which is, well, quite ridiculous really, so there's no excuse. And so communication is probably one of the biggest things that both couples and singles talk to me about. Like a lot of everything that comes up with regards to relationship, a lot of it boils down to communicating about it, how to communicate, communication that goes wrong, communication that's going amiss, communication that leads to an argument or being ignored or blah, 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 fill in the blank. A lot of it is around how to communicate, because relationship is, was a relating ship between two people. And so, we need to know how to steer that ship, and that's what the masterclass is about. How can you communicate in the best way that's not pushing your partner away? There are some things that women tend to do, and I've done them myself. I've absolutely made many mistakes, and that's why I do this work. Because I'm not afraid of talking about that, and none of us got a great relationship education. None of us got a really great sex education that wasn't fear-based. None of us got taught how to talk about boundaries, how to talk about what we really want, how to even feel into our own bodies about what we really want. Are we encouraged to go deep in our bodies and be in touch with our emotions so that we can express that? Do we feel that we can, or that we're allowed, or that we'll lose power if we express our truth? But the truth is, the power is in the sticky bits. The connection and the intimacy and the love comes from the ability to be like open-hearted with the right person, in a way that is honest and authentic, and without needing the other person to do something, without expectation. And it creates a beautiful opening where two people can relate on such a deep, beautiful soul level that the most amazing conversations and results happen, because a couple are relating at the heart. So when some clients come to me and they've broken up with someone, they want to reconnect with that partner, what you say and what you do and how your communication is in that period where where they kind of come back and they're kind of testing the waters, and how you act at that point is paramount if you actually really want to get that person back in your life and you want to reconnect that relationship. And it's the same, like if, some of my clients, they've not been intimate sexually with their partner for 8 months, for a year, 2 years sometimes. And when they have that desire that they really want to create that kind of closeness again, and they want to reconnect sexually with their partner, you want to be prepared in a really great way so that you know how to discuss it, that you know what you want and how you want to set that up and how you're going to move forward with it, so that you can, again, keep this connection going in a way that is from a heart and soul level, not like just from the head analysing and what's going wrong. And a lot of times with women, when we're in fear or when we're like worried about our guy, we automatically go into our head and start to analyze, and we fear, and we maybe we get a bit over focused, obsessed on one particular thing or a worry, and it means that you're not in your body. And when you're not in your body, it's really hard for you to go deep into your heart and express from there. And when you're not in your body, you're in your head, and you're in worry mode, and the energy of that anxiety pushes people away, pushes your partner away. By you learning to be really deep and fully in your body, what you do is you start to pull that man out of his head, where he's analysing and overthinking and trying to defend himself and I'm right, all that kind of stuff, because of his own social conditioning, where you can just be open enough and confident enough and in your body enough that your presence in your body and your ability to communicate from a deep place without fear of what he's going to say pulls him out of his head, his analytical head, and into his heart. And you absolutely have the power to do that, and you have to learn how, and it takes practice. I'd love to tell you that you're going to get it in 3 minutes and then you're going to be perfect forever. But the reality is it takes practice. It takes practice. And that's why we have a Facebook group where you'll join us and you'll keep, getting that support in there long term to keep showing up in the highest and best way and creating heart connection in all your relationships. So if that sounds beautiful for you, I'd love you to join us tomorrow night. I'm excited. We've already got a good few women in the programme. I'm hoping that as many as possible can turn up live so I can answer your questions on the call. And that's it. So it's J Diamond, which is Jay, diamond.podia, podia.com. And then on that website, you'll see creating heart connection in relationship. And so you can sign up there and you'll receive a link tomorrow to join us live on Zoom, which is really easy and it's free. Just download an app, super free, super easy, super fabulous. And we'll have a class there tomorrow night. So I hope that you can join us. And I'm sending you oodles of love. If you're on the replay, #replay. And of course, let me know if you have any questions. So I'm Jay Diamond. I'm a love and intimacy coach. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.